the Champions League is back, boys and girls. Finally, we're here, but it's not the actual round of 16. It's the playoffs. And the playoffs are back. The first legs are back tomorrow and Wednesday. And in this video, as always, as what I've been doing throughout this whole Champions League campaign, I will be previewing each game and I'll be giving you my predictions for the first legs. Make sure you all right now like this video. Make sure you're all right now subscribe to the channel. This second channel, we've just hit 26k. Shout out to every single person showing love. And make sure you subscribe even more because I'm trying to get to 30k. I know some of you guys watch but don't subscribe, which I don't understand, but subscribe. And of course, comment your own predictions, your own thoughts, and the one game that you are looking forward the most so far in the first legs of the Champions League campaign. We start with the first game, which is tomorrow early kickoff at 5:45 between Gala and Juve. Juve, I can't lie. You look at their form, yeah? You look at their form has not been impressive. Their form has not been encouraging. The game recently against Inter, where they lost in a very, very tough matter. You can say they got robbed in a way, of course, conceding that late goal to Zielinski with an absolute screamer. Of course, the draw to Lazio, where they had to come back from behind. The embarrassing loss to Atalanta in the Coppa. So Juve are not going through a good form. But you look at Gala, they've been killing teams left, right, center. They've just been having fun. And you look at both of the Champions League campaign. If you asked one team, are you the happiest? Out of both teams, who's been the happiest of the Champions League campaign, the 8 games which they played in the league phase? It would be Gala, because Juve lost some stupid losses, some stupid draws, games which they should have won, they didn't win. Like, realistically, in terms of the schedule which they had on paper, you would expect Juve to be in the top 8. But they didn't. Of course, they lost against Real Madrid, which is one of the few difficult games which they had. So I don't understand why they were in the league, in the playoff in the first place. But anyway, you look at both teams playing at home, at Gala, at that incredible, the atmosphere is going to be crazy. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely insane. I look at this Juve team, yeah? Kalulu, I've always said it, man. I've never been a fan of him. Never. I know early on he chipped in with early goals this season and last season. I've never been a fan of him. Even at Milan days, never been a fan of him. You look at that back line, as we've already spoken about Juve in the past. You look at just this team as a whole, just as a whole. Spalletti, I think, has done okay since he's taken over, but I'm still not overly convinced. That they would go into this first leg and actually win this game and actually manage to take 3 points. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I'm sorry, Juve fans. I just don't. I am more confident that I see this Gala team picking up a win, which they know they have to, especially at home, before they could go to the second leg at Juve, and you never know what could happen in the second leg. But in the first leg, I'm going to go with a Gala win. I'm very confident that will happen, especially in the early kickoff, and I can see a win that will put them in a good advantage for the second leg. So for that reason, I'm going to go with a 3-1 Juve win. A Gala win. I still think Juve will score, but actually, you know what, low-key, a part of me think they might not, fam. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at this Juve team, yeah, the only way they can score, the only way they can change things is through the man himself, Yildiz. If Yildiz got a great game, then Juve's got a chance. If Yildiz is basically going to be defended pretty well by this Gala team, which I know they've got a plan for him. Of course, Yildiz going back to Turkey. Then, bro, it's going to be a long day for Juve. I'm going to go with a Gala 3-1 win. Then we've got Benfica versus Real Madrid. I've already spoken about this game. This game is already on my main channel. Go watch the preview out. This is actually going to be a very, very difficult game, and I've already given my prediction on who is going to win that game. Then we've got Dortmund versus Atalanta, and Dortmund at the moment are going through at an incredible level, incredible form. 6 wins in a row in the league, and they're starting to close the gap to Bayern Munich, which at one point looked absolutely impossible, but now the gap is about around 3 points, if I'm not mistaken. Atalanta, they've also done well. Massive win away from home to Lazio. They're massive to pick up a couple good wins there, going through the semi-finals in the Coppa as well. And Atalanta, they were here last season. They were in the same position last season, losing to Club Brugge, and now they've got another chance going up against Dortmund, they should have qualified. They should have qualified. They had the chance in their own hands, but they absolutely let it slip away. They let it slip away. They could have qualified in the last game and even the game before to the league phase, but they didn't. They lost against Spurs, which was very, very hurtful. Of course, they had like 10 players for like 85 minutes, but Dortmund are going through a very good run, and I'm going to go with Dortmund win. I'm going to go with a Dortmund, especially at home as well. I think that will help. And in the first leg, I'm going to go with a Dortmund win, and I think it's going to be around 2-0, 3-0, and I think they're going to keep a clean sheet. I think they're going to keep a clean sheet as well. Then we've got Monaco against Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain at the moment are going through a difficult period. Why I thought? Because they start the season off in a bad form, but what I said to myself, listen, they've got a lot of injuries. Every single person's out. Even the goalkeeper's out. At one point, every starter was out, from the goalkeeper to the left back, to the right back, to the 2 centre backs, to the 3 midfielders, to the 3 forward players, and even the bench players got injured as well in terms of going forward. So I always thought, you know what? Once 2026 hits, I think PSG will be back in form. The same way they did in 2025. Like 2025, the start of the season, they weren't that great, but the form started to click after the New Year's, where they start killing teams, and it included, funnily enough, in the Champions League phase, where they beat Brest back to, like, both first leg and second leg, and they absolutely dominated both legs. Now they're playing another French team in the playoffs. So this is, history repeats itself right here, you know what I mean? Now they're playing Monaco, and Monaco, they haven't been great, fam. Bro, Monaco, they are on a bad level of form. I think they've only won, 2-3 games in the last 17, 15, whatever. I saw a stat. Like, Monaco are completely out of form. They've sacked them. Their manager's left. The players are not delivering. The players which did well early on are not doing that well now. That win against Nantes was much needed, even though the second half performance wasn't that great. You look at this Monaco team, yeah, and the same players who did well early on, for some reason, they're not stepping up. And the manager hasn't done well since taking over. You look at this Paris Saint-Germain team, and there's a lot of drama at the moment between 2 people, between Dembouz and between Luis Enrique. Dembouz came after the game, straight after the game, when they lost to Rennes 3-1. I watched that game. It happened on a Friday. A very embarrassing loss as well. He came after the game and said one thing. He said, listen, the players that we have this season, they care more about themselves. Last season, we played as a collective. Last season, we played as a team. But this season, there's a lot of players that's playing as individuals. Just me. I want the spotlight. I want the goals. I want the headlines. Enrique came after the game and said, I completely disagree, and I don't know what Dembele is talking about, and he shouldn't be saying stuff like this because he's not the manager. He's not the manager. He should be the last person to say this. So that's been now like a divide of opinions between some of the players and the manager. Of course, there's been reports saying that Luis Enrique might potentially leave. They've given him a contract, a lifeline contract, which is rejected, and a lot of speculation has been made about Enrique's future at Paris Saint-Germain. I think this 2 legs will somewhat give Paris Saint-Germain a nice little confident booster. I do think Paris will win. I think he'll win with a massive scoreline as well. And I think this is the game that potentially might bring them back into that level and that confidence which we know they can have and which we know they can produce. But the question is if they can do it, because it comes down to the players, as Dembouz said it. It comes down whether the players are finally starting to realize let's play as a team. Even though if you look at the team, most of the players that's playing right now, the same players that played last season, except for Fabien Rouge, who's of course I think he's out with an injury. He's out with an injury. But I think for Paris Saint-Germain, this is going to be the game that's going to kickstart their 2026 form and just take it from there. So I'm going to go with the Paris Saint-Germain to win 4-1. Then we go to Wednesday's games, and Wednesday's games are the early kickoff is Qarabag versus Newcastle. Massive achievement for Qarabag to be in this position in the first place. Of course, they managed to pick up some big results, big comeback wins. Benfica, where they beat them away from home. They drew against Chelsea, so they've managed to pick up some massive results. They're playing a Newcastle side who just lost their best player in Bruno. He's now been confirmed out for the next 12 weeks. Even though Newcastle are coming off from beating Spurs, but this win right here without Bruno managed to beat Villa in the FA Cup, 3-1 win, a comeback as well because they were conceded early on. Big win for them. You look at this Newcastle side and you look at this Qarabag side. I do think with the atmosphere at Qarabag at the time of the day as well, I do think we might see a surprise. I don't think it's going to be a smooth sailing. It's going to be so easy. I do think we might see a little shock, and I think the shock might come from this game or even this game right there. I am going to go with a Qarabag draw. I think either a Qarabag win or Qarabag draw. I think Qarabag will do well in this game, but Newcastle will come back in the second leg. That's what I think is going to happen. Then we've got Bodø Glimt versus Inter. Inter, they've done well. Inter, they are on a very good form. 6 points ahead in the league. They're doing well in the Cuppa. They're just smashing teams. They're through in the semi-finals. Kivo has got his team playing well. This win right here was absolute massive, and where everyone predicted Inter to have a bad season because Simone Inzaghi's left and Kivo's coming in, and his Club World Cup form wasn't that great. Even though I said don't judge them too early, I had Inter doing very well this season, and look what they're doing. This is a good game against Bodø Glimt, who's actually done well as well at home. Of course, they managed to beat Atleti, putting themselves in this position in the last game. They managed to beat City in the game week 7. They've done well. They drew against Spurs in one of the game weeks. So they've done well. I genuinely think, even though with that nice little form which they've had, I still think Inter will win. And I'm going to go with Inter to win 2-0. Then we've got Club Brugge versus Atletico. And Atletico are now a team which I've realized a lot of people said, well, Atletico is very inconsistent. They're not. They've put their fries in 2 baskets. They've put the fries in 2 baskets. Their fries is basically in La Liga, just call it a day, bro. La Liga, fries in the bag. Because in La Liga, they're starting to rest players. They know they're going to get top 4. They're going to get top 4 somehow. And if they see there is some sort of pressure in order to get top 4, they'll start playing the main players. But if you guys have noticed, like, you look at this form here, and a lot of people have said, why? How is this different? How can you go from beating Betis and then losing to Betis and then beating Barcelona and losing to Rayo? This is very well known because if I watch both games. And the Atletico game, you look at the starting 11. And look at now, this is what people didn't realize. Look at the starting 11 against Rayo, by the way. Not a single starter. Not a single star except for Molina. Not a single starter played this game that played the game against Barcelona. So Simeone now understands. Even Oblak came after the game and said that when we're trying to basically put La Liga in the fries, even though Simeone came out and said, I completely disagree. I don't know what's going on now. Like, players saying one thing, manager coming out, disagreeing publicly. But I think Oblak is what he's saying is absolutely true. I think Simeone is purposely now putting away the league because he understands the league. He's got that the cushion is starting to become, because Betis managed to win. And at one point, it was like a 11, 12-point advance, even though Betis are now making up differences. And I think once it gets very close, and I think Atleti will start playing the main players in the league. But I think for Atleti, their main priority this season is to win the Cuppa, and they've got a big chance after winning the first leg 4-0 against Barca and trying to do well in the Champions League. And I think this is the same team which I expect, the same team that played against Barcelona. It's the same team I expect to play this game, where every single person is basically rested. Every player is here, is all rested, ready for the game, and I do think they're going to absolutely do well against Club Brugge. So I've got Atleti to win this game. And the last game is between Leverkusen and Olympiacos. Let's be real, Olympiacos, they managed to get here. I think they won the last game, if I'm not mistaken, against Ajax, which put them in this position to confirm that playoff spot. Leverkusen, they've done well. Beating Villarreal. But even to be fair, like that's a couple of games which they've won. This game, I'll be real. Out of all the games, this is the game that I don't really care about at all. I'm going to go, hey, man, I'm going to go with my GOAT, man. I'm going to go with my Lucas Vasquez GOAT. I'm going to go with Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go with you know what? I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. And then Leverkusen, I think, will take in the second leg. But those are my predictions for the first legs. I'll be back here next week for my predictions for the second leg. Make sure you all right now like the video, subscribe to the channel, as I said, and comment your own thoughts about any of those games. See you soon. Peace.